I'm Sarah, I'm from Dynamic Boards and we advertise non-exec director vacancies across the UK. And today I'm speaking to Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca.
Hi, Sarah, good morning.
Rebecca is a non-exec director on the board of B3living, a housing association. And I'm just going to chat to Rebecca today about their advert for a non-exec director. She's on the board, so if you're thinking about that role, maybe you can learn a bit from her. So Rebecca, first of all, what do you do when you're not on B3living's board?
So I'm a commercial director of B3living, which is the build-to-rent arm of Lloyds Bank.
Brilliant. And when did you join this board?
So I joined just pre-COVID, so it was December 2019, and my first board meeting was January 2020, and then we went into COVID and a completely remote world. So it was a bit of a baptism of fire, I think.
So you did actually get to meet them in person first?
I did, yeah. I think we went for a pizza and had one board meeting, and then everyone was then remote. So it was it was interesting, and we've only just gone back to being in person, which has been lovely actually.
And so Rebecca, what surprised you most when you first joined the board?
So for me, the biggest surprise was that I could actually bring value to the board, which I know sounds ridiculous, but I was 31. At the time I was working for Morgan Sindall. I was recruited into the board position because of my development and construction background. So I was dealing with projects day to day. I was, 10 plus years out of university, but didn't feel I had that kind of depth of background that I think I would always assume to be expected of a NED. Whereas actually the feedback I got from the board is actually that day-to-day living, breathing experience of working has been hugely powerful to them. And I think even more so at the moment, given COVID and the kind of wider macro environment and just the challenges that businesses face. Ultimately, this is a commercial business that needs people to help run it. And my perspective isn't the only perspective. So I sort of sit as this kind of wider suite of people that really understand and are kind of professionals and technical experts. But I provide a different level of kind of insight. So that's kind of really surprised me, and it's actually given me a huge amount of confidence as well in my day-to-day work, to just feel like, oh god, maybe I actually talk some sense sometimes. So
that's brilliant, Rebecca, and a good message for other people if they're thinking that, like, would I bring value there? Actually, you're not the only one. Board meetings are not just your contribution, it's a collective thought, so that really helps. And so this new board member will sit on the audit, risk and treasury committees, and obviously on the main board as well. What committees do you sit on?
So I sit on the Everly board and then the DevCo board. The committees are online, which is really helpful. So they're remote, and then the main board is then in person. So it just allows me to manage my time a bit more effectively, and allows, because I do work full time, to sort of really feel like I'm making an impact, but not having to do all the logistics of travel.
Brilliant. And what do those two committees do?
So Everly is the basically profit-making arm of the business. So we look at sort of basically commercial transactions. So I sit and help advise on that. And then the DevCo is a development company of the main business. So it does everything from Section 106 housing through to some product for sale.
Awesome. And Rebecca, did you have any board experience before you joined?
No, I had absolutely none. I'd spoken on a few panels. I was on the kind of leadership team within my business, but I wasn't even on the board of my business. So I had absolutely none apart from reporting into board. So it was quite funny the first day to sort of sit and remember that you're actually a board member rather than and I suppose for me that's been the biggest change, is really trying to think strategically, which has been actually a real benefit. So when you get a board pack, to not immediately jump into all the millions of questions that you'd have if you're working on that project day to day, but actually think about like the challenge that you would present to the business.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think that is a big challenge for a lot of people that haven't done non-exec work before. We've heard the phrase like nose in, hands out, which is a good reminder. You're not there to be in the detail, but it is a bit of a shift. So it's great that you've enjoyed and learned a lot from that experience.
Yeah, definitely. And I've definitely found that my own work outside of B3 has improved because of it, because I now look at the board pack that I'm presenting back to the business and sort of think, well, actually, is this really going to get the message across I need, or have I gone into so much detail that actually, you know, it's completely missed? So yeah, I've definitely found that it's really helped my actual work.
That's brilliant. And I guess coming back to your actual work, you've got a full-time job.
Yeah.
How does this work alongside this? What are the sort of practicalities?
So we're required to attend the main boards in person, which is fine. It's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. So I tend to, it's in Hertfordshire, so it's an hour from London, all in, you know, walking and everything else. So I tend to block out that afternoon and, you know, basically read my board pack in advance of that. Obviously travel there, and then it usually finishes around 5 or 6. And so they are very respectful of that and kind of understand. I'm sure if there were issues, complications, like the other week I had COVID, so I had to dial in remotely, which was absolutely fine. And then Everly, as I said, is it's online fully. And then in addition to that, we then have an away day once a year, which again is just a full day, which I find enormously helpful. There's tons of opportunities to get more involved. So some of the other board members that don't have full-time jobs will go out and visit schemes, meet residents, be hugely hands-on. I struggle with that, and I sort of have fed back to our chair, David, that I just can't do as much. And they're very understanding of that and get that, you know, I can't do it alongside a full-time job. So I do it as and when I can, but I have to accept that I can't do as much.
That's brilliant. Well, it's great that they're flexible with that. And I know in our advert, you can see that there's 5 of those sort of Tuesday afternoon meetings a year. You can see all the details around that. But I thought it's helpful for anyone considering this to hear how Rebecca manages it alongside a full-time job, because we know lots of our candidates are in that position as well. So lastly, Rebecca, what would your message be for someone who's considering this role and may not have seen someone like them on boards before?
I think for me, the main message is that diversity of thought is so important. These businesses, and this one especially is really close to my heart. It does the most incredible work, and I find that the value that a sort of diverse board can bring is hugely important and massively powerful. Businesses need that level of diversity and that level of different thinking to allow them to succeed. So I would say that if you haven't seen someone that looks like you on a board, you should be on that board even more so, because that's the only way these businesses will truly succeed.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Rebecca. And just to touch on a couple of final details. So the skills and experience that they're looking for the non-exec role with B3living, it's particularly people with experience in financial strategy and planning, treasury management and accountancy, but also general business and commercial management, governance and non-exec leadership. They've said they're open to applicants from candidates from other backgrounds too. So even if you don't quite meet that brief, but you think you'd be interested in being the board of B3living, check it out. From a diversity perspective, they'd really like to encourage candidates who've got lived experience of social housing, and also people from totally outside the housing sector. Anyone who's underrepresented on their board at the moment, so that's people with a disability, even more younger people like Rebecca or younger, and people from LGBT community as well. You're encouraged to apply even if this is your first time board role. And I guess they want to say, you know, just like Rebecca having a full-time job, if you've got a full-time job, childcare responsibilities, caring responsibilities, then please do think about this role. Don't let any of those put you off. So lastly, just good luck. You can check out the role on the link below, and please do consider it. And you can drop Claire Howe, one of the team there, an email with any questions you've got in advance. So thank you, Rebecca. Great speaking with you.
No problem. Thanks, Sarah.